Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio. You know the script now. You know what I'm going to say. It's live, so get involved in the comments and the chat. We want to hear from you. If you've got any stories, if you've got anything to say about the stories we're covering, let us know how you feel. And look at this. I tell you what, I'm spoiled here. A brew being delivered as we're live. Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, thank you there in a Scott McSauce mug there, available from paddockmerch.com. Thank you. Right, the big news this morning is Bruno Fernandes has officially signed a new deal. So we're going to talk about that. We'll also be talking about Erik Ten Hag. Bruno signs, Ten Hag next, maybe. Looks like there's a bit of development there. We'll give you an update because he's apparently there's a few stories doing the rounds about a second interview. He's going to be meeting the board again, so we'll give you a bit of an update on that and also any other developments there because it's not a done deal. It's not a here we go yet with Ten Hag. There's still talk that maybe Pochettino or even Luis Enrique, but we'll get into all that stuff. So let us know what you think about all that. James Cook, yes, Jay, yes, brother. Someone's saying hi, Dad. Oh, it's not one of my kids saying that, so disconcerting. Andy Long says, too cold outside for you today, Jay. It's a bit brass in it today. We usually do Fridays in the studio anyway, but I'm not, I wasn't too bothered about missing out on going to Old Trafford today. I don't know if you saw my video there the other day. When was it? Was it Wednesday? Was it Wednesday or I can't remember if it was Wednesday or Tuesday where it was absolutely raining. It wasn't freezing. It was absolutely pelting it down. I got soaked. Santa Not says, have a green screen about it. Oh, listen. We go down there. We go down Old Trafford, us. Not wrong with doing that if you want, but that's not for us. Matthew Sargent says, it's nice today, Jay. Joseph says, is it live or pre-recorded? It's live. We all know that, don't we? Right, we'll get into it. Bruno Fernandes has signed a new deal. There's an official announcement, Comunicado Oficial from Manchester United. There he is. The man himself, Mr. Fernandes, says Manchester United is delighted to announce that Bruno Fernandes has signed a new contract which will keep him at the club until June 2026 with the option to extend for a further year. The Portugal international has contributed 49 goals and 39 assists in just 117 games for United. So if I do some quick maths, that's basically 50 plus 40, which is 90, take away 2. So that's 88, is it? Goal involvements. Am I right there? In 117 games. I love Bruno Fernandes. I think, he's been an absolute star for United since he's arrived. There has been, I've seen there's a few tweets and a few comments and arguments put forward that he's not that great and he isn't the player that perhaps his stats show, whatever that means. Listen, I think you can criticise Bruno. You can question him in certain degrees. Sometimes I think he does go a little bit too OTT with his arguing with the ref all the time. Sometimes in bigger games I would like to see a bit more from him. And there are times when he almost tries too hard, where he's like constantly trying to shoot and score and trying Hollywood passes and he gets frustrated and you think you don't need to do all that. But Bruno Fernandes has been a phenomenal signing for Manchester United. You look at where we were when he arrived. We were 6 points off the top. We'd just been beaten 2-0 off Burnley. He came in and we ended up, going from looking like we had no chance of top 4 to finishing 3rd. Then we finished 2nd the following season. He's been a massive part of that. And also this argument, well, if you ignore his stats, why? Why would you ignore his goals and assists? That's what he's in the team to do. So none of that makes any sense to me. He's so productive. He is one of the most productive attacking players in the world. And also the nature of some of those goals as well. So, he scores loads of penalties. Well, he's not even on penalties anymore. Some of the goals he scored, which aren't penalties, have been fantastic goals. Goal against Everton last season, for example. The free kick against Liverpool was a great goal. The goal against Newcastle this season, he's capable of scoring some worldies. I don't think it's just a case of he's just a penalty merchant. And I've seen this argument sort of go, well, when you build a team around someone, they do well. When Pogba had the team sort of built around him, when Ollie first took over or came in as caretaker, then he was getting loads of goals and assists. And Paul Labille was getting a lot of goals and assists, but not quite to the standard of levels that Bruno was. Pogba was put on penalties. He did relatively well on penalties. I think he scored 8 out of 11, which is actually, it's probably about the average, I think. I think it's 8 out of 11. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was. Bruno's record at one point was something like 26 out of 27. He's probably a little bit outdone by the fact he's had penalties to off him, but it's because it's Ronaldo, isn't it? So I think you look at every sort of argument that's put against Bruno in terms of why he's not that effective or why he's not that good. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't really hold water. And I think that when Manchester United look in the summer, we've got a massive rebuilding operation on our hands. We are probably going to lose Paul Pogba. Don't know what's going to happen with Donny van der Beek. We don't know what's going to happen with the likes of, well, I mean, Garner's not the same player anyway. Is he going to come in? He's not an attacking midfielder in the way that Bruno Fernandes is. You can't afford to lose Bruno. You can't. The last thing you need right now is to lose a guy that's give you 88 goal involvements in 2 seasons or whatever it is. We need him. And thankfully, he's put pen to paper and he's going to stay for the long term. And I think that's fantastic news for Manchester United. And yes, you can criticise him for certain parts of his game, but on the whole, he's been a brilliant signing for United. He's probably been our best signing. There's an argument he's been our best signing post-Fergie. There really is. I think if you look at our signings post-Fergie, I know we've not won anything with Bruno, so that's why that argument is undermined. I'll admit that one, because I like to see trophies. But in terms of what he's done on the pitch and his effectiveness on the pitch, I think he has been one of our best signings. There might have been an argument he's been our best signing post-Fergie. You may disagree. If you do, fine, let me know in the comments why I'm wrong. Or why you do agree, if you do agree. Zachary Purvis says, thank you for the early morning content, Jay. Helps me get my ass out of bed and get ready for work. Keep up the great work. And again, thank you. Lovely message. It's nice to get a bit of positivity and a bit of affirmation. I am that sort of shallow that I do like it. Anarchy Goose says, if you ignore his legs, it's just a torso. Great argument. Well made. Dave Busson says, well, Jay, what a channel, man. Matthew Sargent says, bold prediction. Bruno wins a league with us during this contract. I love that. I love that, Matthew Sargent, right? I'm all for those bold predictions. I'm not going to lie. I've made some bold predictions over the last few years. I made a bold prediction that we'd win a title under Jose. I made a bold prediction that Paul Emile Pogba doesn't leave this club without a title-winning medal. And I've not always been right, but I like your prediction, and I'm going to go with it. Why not? Yeah? Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you, brother. Sorry, I'm just going through it. Josie says, Keane made a great point about outs this season in terms of our sales. It might benefit the new manager almost a clean slate. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Bruno Fernandes is in that, but a bit of a clean slate with outgoings. Roy Keane did the overlap with Gary Neville, and our very own Adam McCullough was there, and he put some questions and some comments towards Gary Neville and Roy Keane. Some great comments as well from Mac, who did really well. You can tell he's done it a few times and he knows that he has a good rapport with Gary Neville and Roy Keane and Jamie Carragher as well. So check that out. That's on our channel there. You go and have a look at the other videos. Don't look at it now, though. Watch this now. And then later on, go and watch that. But, this is where it's at. Also, can we hit the like button, please? Can we get to 100 likes in the next 56 seconds? That would be nice. Yeah, hit the like button. Patrick Vong says, I love you, Jay. I love you too, brother. Magnum Skywolf says, cup of coffee and a J video on my day off. Nice one. A lot of love. I'm feeling the love, man. Nice. Let's keep this going. And we've got to over 100 likes. Let's get to 200 likes. Bruno signed a new deal. Happy days. Hey, let's get to 200 likes. Let us know what you think about Bruno Fernandes. Alex Bailey says, Jay, who on the brew today? I think we're bringing in Joe Smith because he's not been on for a little while. He's not been on the channel for a little while by his standards. He's on constantly, isn't he? So he's had a few days off. But he's going to be on today. And we're going to have a bit of a quiz for me and Steve. 1991 Cup Winners' Cup Final quiz. Yep. I shouldn't have said that because now I've given Steve a head up and he'll do a bit of research. Not that he needs to do it because it's all he ever talks about. But yeah, we're going to have that as well. So make sure you're tuning in. That's live at 4 o'clock. And if Ralph Ragnick's got anything interesting to say in his press conference, we'll cover that as well. Right. We've talked about Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno, as my kids always sing, but we do. Let's talk about Erik Ten Hag, because where would we be without an Erik Ten Hag story? Now, there's loads of different stories doing the rounds this morning about Erik Ten Hag, and it seems that he's set for a second interview. So he's set to meet the board again. Now, he had his first interview, I think, a couple of weeks ago. We all know about that. The sort of stories doing the rounds, if I can try and unpick this, because there's some sort of contradictory stories, but I will try and get a coherent narrative of what's gone on. It looks like Erik Ten Hag met with United and had his interview. It looks like Mauricio Pochettino was also interviewed. It may have been online, though. I don't know if he actually met with anyone. I think he did that online from what we gather from the stories. So now they've done that. There's also stories that United were taking this interview process very seriously. There's been accusations in the past that we haven't. If you remember, Alex Ferguson more or less just anointed David Moyes. Do you remember that banner, The Chosen One? there wasn't really an interview process as such. It was a case of Fergie going around his house and going, Moisey, what are you up to for the next 6 years? Fancy managing United? Yeah, sound, sweet, done. And I know that because I was at the press conference where David Moyes told us all. And it was a little bit worrying in retrospect because you go and you look at him and he was like, Fergie ran me and, Sir Alex ran me and he said, I want to meet up with you. And I was worried I was only wearing a T-shirt and my jeans. I thought we need to get dressed up. And he came around my house and he said, you're going to be the next United manager. I couldn't believe it. Oh, yeah, that's not really how you appoint someone to the biggest job in football, taking over from the most successful manager of all time at one of the biggest clubs the world's ever seen. Really, is it? So United have gone a little bit different because it seems even like Van Gaal, was there a strict interview process there? Or was it a case of after Moyes, we need someone with experience, he's available after the World Cup, let's get him. Then there was Jose. He was almost earmarked, wasn't it? I know there was some rumours that maybe Pochettino was going to succeed Van Gaal, but when Jose became evident that the wheels were coming off at Chelsea, again, it didn't feel like it was a strict process. It was more a case of we could get him. Ole, that wasn't really an interview, was it? He came in as caretaker. He was asked to sort of steady the ship. Did such a good job as caretaker that he was then given the role full time. So again, it's not sort of stringent recruiting in terms of the interview process. It's more or less people just getting appointed and just get asked to join. Now it seems United have gone to do things differently. They've gone to say, right, okay, let's have a real interview process with a list of candidates where we interview them not just once but twice and we get feedback from them in terms of their ideas, their plans, what they're going to do and how that's going to work. Now, there's several sort of caveats to this and sides to the Ten Hag thing. One is that he's set for a second interview, as the thumbnail says there. Also, there's a story doing the rounds, and I think it's in the Express, that the risk of angering him because he's a bit surprised that he wasn't offered the job after the first interview. Now he's got to go through a second one. Now, I understand there's a lot of people out there who are keen to see Ten Hag just appointed, just like give him the job, that's it. He does seem to be, from what I've seen on social media and from what people I spoke to, the preferred choice amongst a lot of United fans. I don't speak for any United fans other than myself. I'm just going off what I've seen. So you may disagree, you may not be one of those fans, you may prefer Pochettino or Luis Enrique. I've got mates who'd rather Pochettino or Luis Enrique, but from what I've seen in sort of polls and all sorts of other stuff, then it looks like Ten Hag is the more popular choice. Now, United are going through a second interview process. That makes sense to me. This is a massive job, and there should be a proper interview process. And you'd expect Erik Ten Hag to understand that. You're not just going for a job down at Cost Cutter. That's no disrespect to people who work at Cost Cutter, but you're not just going for a minimum wage or whatever it is, what's a living wage job, or just this is a massive job where you're going to go through a process. So if that is 2 interviews, I don't mind that. I don't mind Manchester United acting like a proper football club because it's about time we did. So 2 interviews isn't an issue for me for one candidate. It would be an issue if we missed out on him, if we left it too late. But I think he probably would. You'd expect him to understand that. You expect him to understand that he's got to go through a process. So he's not been appointed yet. The rumours or the stories, I should say, I shouldn't just say rumours because it sounds like it's just nonsense. But is that Pochettino is still on that list and even Luis Enrique is still on that list. But Ten Hag is the favourite. So I don't know the nature of this second interview. We'll have to wait and see what happens with it. Is there going to be, is it going to be more of a formality? Could it be just a second interview? Just give you, one of those where the job's almost yours. Let's just have another little chat. There was this other side that I wanted to talk about as well. There's rumours and stories doing the rounds. Sorry, stop saying rumours. Stories doing the rounds that Ten Hag has told the board he wants to be involved in transfers, and some people look at that as that might put them off. Now, you've got to have a manager that's involved in transfers. Even if that involvement is just advisory or just, green lighting certain transfers, they have to be involved. And I think that's part of the problem we've had at United. Was Jose Mourinho fully on board with Fred arriving, for example? I use that as an example because he didn't play him when he got it. Was Louis van Gaal fully on board with Luke Shaw coming in or Ander Herrera even? I remember when Herrera arrived, Van Gaal wasn't playing him for about 3 months. It's been weird at United with transfers, and weird putting it, kindly. Shambolic would be a more accurate description. So I understand that you do have to have this sort of process. And also I understand that a manager should have some say in transfers. Matthew Sargent says, I had 2 interviews for my job. Suck it up, Eric. Rowan Sheehy says, a lot of jobs have at least 2 or 3 stages in the interview process. Tim Collins makes a good point here. Fine line between process and dragging heels. I get that. There is. But I don't think 2 interviews for the Manchester United job is overkill. Tyrone Camplin says, I had no interviews, Mr. Ten Hag. Come down and work with me. Santa Not says, if that puts them off, we're going nowhere. Yeah, I think we can always have a sort of an argument of whether we're dragging our heels or whether it's too much. But to be honest with you, 2 interviews seems normal. Alex Bailey says, Jay had an injury from the World Cup, so couldn't play straight. I know he did, and he couldn't, but then he was on the bench a lot. And there was a time when he was being used, but he came in and then he was in and out. Because I remember I used to do this press conference when Van Gaal used to get drilled about why we had Wayne Rooney as our defensive midfielder at times, and why we had Angel Di Maria up front, and why we had certain players on the bench. It just seemed like, for me, that certain signings weren't Van Gaal signings, that were made on his watch. I don't know how much Van Gaal had watched Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw arrived almost the same time as him. Had he been saying, that left back at Southampton, that's the one I want. Also, we tried to sign Ander Herrera before Van Gaal arrived. Do you remember? With all the imposters and all that. I know they weren't in the club, but we were. So my point is, I don't know how much the manager always has a say in these transfers. And look at Jose with Fred, he didn't want him. He didn't play him. Not only did he not play him, he said after the Juventus game when we lost 1-0 and Fred was on the bench, I didn't have anyone on my bench. That's a player we just spent 50 million quid on. So I just feel like there hasn't been a coherent strategy or structure in place when it comes to transfers and working with the manager. And I don't think that's any sort of insightful revelations that you guys don't know. I'm sure you do. I wouldn't be, surprised if Ten Hag comes in. Now people are going, comes in and wants to have a say in transfers. Now people are going, well, what about Poch? Is he not going to want a say in transfers? I presume he is. You think he would do, wouldn't you? Because I know he had a bit of a drama at Tottenham with certain transfers and stuff, but you think he'd at least want a green light him. I don't think that's been the way at PSG. I think PSG have just gone, we're getting you these stars, you're having them, and he's gone, right, okay. Because they've brought in like the likes of Ramos, Donnarumma, Ronaldo, Lionel Messi. They've got mad in the transfer window. I don't know how much he said that, and the board have just said, like, listen, we're going to get these superstars in, sort of Galactico stuff. Anthony Fan says, Poch is a yes man. Interesting. Akitia 1973 says, I think Pochettino would suit United better. Ryan Maxwell says, any Ajax players you'd like to see follow suit? Maybe there's a kid Anthony and everyone's talking about. I don't know a lot about him. Seen a little bit of him. Looks like he's done well in terms of his goals and assists. And when I've seen bits of him, he's looked very exciting player. There was a story doing the rounds the other day that Ten Hag would want to bring Anthony in. I think he plays on the right. He's left-footed and he likes to cut in. So it looks like he could fit the bill. Joseph says, do you think Rashford will stay in the summer? Jonathan Schrager, who's a good lad, who does his due diligence and has connections, he said, I think that Rashford had said to his mates that he didn't want to leave. I think that was what the latest on that was. In fact, I'll double-check that now before I'm just making things up. I want to see Rashford get back to the Marcus Rashford we've seen of old. Yep. Jonathan Schrager tweeted yesterday, I'm told that Rashford has not told friends he wants to leave United. So there you go. You can make of that what you will. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks for everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Loads of good comments, loads of good stuff. Don't forget to hit the like button and give us a subscribe if you're not doing as well. Let's get to 700,000 subscribers by the end of the season. With your support and help, we can do. I'll be back later on with The Brew with Mr. Stephen Howson. Tomorrow as well, of course, you'll have the Leicester City watch-along. You've got Joe Smith. You've got Joe McGrath. You've also got, I think Alex is on it as well. You're going to have a reaction from Howson, from Maka, from all those people as well. So make sure you are checking that out. There's a preview up. There's the overlap stuff with Gary Neville and Roy Keane and Andy McCullough. We've got it all going on. So make sure you're checking all that out. Thanks for watching.